just gonna ignore that because it keeps falling, and every time it falls, it scares the crap out of me. What's up, Rad fam? Today we are jumping straight into a very interesting, weird, wild ride of a true story animated, and it's from the channel My Story Animated, which does a bunch of animations based off of stories that are just crazy sounding, but they are said to have actually happened. So keep that in mind. But the one we're jumping into today is called All Girls in My Family Died at 18, and that just sounds spooky and tragic and sad and kind of like the family's cursed. I'm very intrigued, so let's just jump right into it.
I remember the exact moment when I realized my life was in danger. For weeks it had been building up, and suddenly I was sitting there and it dawned on me.
What?
If I didn't take drastic measures to ensure my safety, I would lose my life.
Why?
Never in a million years did I think I'd only get to live for 18 years. There was still so much I wanted to do with my life. I mean, I'd barely even kissed a boy, and I hadn't
18
even
is
gone
so
to
young.
college yet. This couldn't be happening. And it's not like...
Okay, I had to pause it for a second. Right off the bat, wow, we just get right into this family possibly being cursed. Wow, okay, that's a lot to digest within 30 seconds, but I can't help but to notice that the animation style of her is that she's kind of smiling, not saying that she's happy about it. You know, some people, I guess, laugh when they're nervous. Maybe that's the stance that she's taken, you know, a little inappropriate smiling, or maybe she's really happy because she lived past the curse, and I guess that's something to be happy about. Okay, let's just jump back into it.
The most carefree life. For one, I'd never met my mom. She died while giving birth to me.
Oh, that's so
I felt like
tragic.
I must be this constant reminder for my dad that I'm the reason mom died. I know these things happen, but I couldn't help feeling responsible. So
And yet she's
when
smiling.
my 18th birthday was approaching, I decided to pace carefully.
Okay.
Every birthday I had was bittersweet. I always had cake and presents, but at the same time, we always visited Mom's grave and took her flowers.
That'd be tough.
She died, so
That'd be tough for
I
a
could be
kid.
born.
For anybody.
Honestly, it's the biggest burden I'll ever carry. Turning
Of
18
course.
felt like a
That's
big
so sad
deal
because like she had no control over those circumstances, and that's just a horribly tragic event. And yeah, now every time she celebrates a birthday, she will be reminded, like, it would be so hard not to have guilt, even though you shouldn't feel guilty because you know, that's a lot. This is a lot. I was not expecting it to be this much. I mean, I should have from the title, but I was unprepared.
That was the age my mom died. Yep, she fell pregnant very young, and her death was so tragic. I knew this birthday would be particularly difficult for my dad, so I didn't even mention it. He asked me how I wanted to celebrate, and I said I was happy to just go out for dinner or something. Pretty quickly, my dad
I can
started
see not wanting to
acting
celebrate
kind
that.
of strange. He's always been a quiet, reserved type of guy, but this was next level. I came home from school one day and found him sitting on my bedroom floor, holding some of my old teddy bears, crying. I was so shocked. I saw my dad cry often, but this was different. He looked really sad. I went over to him to ask what was wrong, and he pulled me onto the ground and he wouldn't stop hugging me. That was just the beginning. Throughout the next couple of weeks, he wouldn't leave me alone. He was so clingy.
Okay, what the heck do you think that means? Does he know about the family curse? Was there talks of the family curse before the mother died? And if so, why is that something that wouldn't be told to the child? If you actually believed that, well, I could actually see, because you wouldn't want to scare the kid. Okay, that makes sense. Of course you wouldn't tell the kid. That'd probably be bad parenting. But like the way he's reacting is like super sus, right? Did he have something to do with mom dying at 18? I'm not gonna put those accusations out there.
Actually got a bit
Until we have
much
more
at one
proof.
point when he wouldn't even let me walk to school by myself. He insisted on walking with me, and he even tried to hold my hand when we were crossing the road.
I mean, that's
pushed
just
his hand
sweet.
away and said, "Dad, stop it. I'm
I
almost
also understand
18.
that.
I'm not a kid. I can
But,
cross
like,
the road by myself."
He's
He
just
looked
looking out
taken
for you.
aback after I shouted
just your
at him,
dad.
and he apologized and walked away. There was a lot of traffic, but I could have sworn I heard him say something like, "That's the problem. You're almost 18."
Okay, well that's terrifying.
I was feeling tired, so I started walking upstairs towards my room. It was so hot, so I opened my window and flopped down on my bed. I could hear my dad and my cousin outside talking, but I wasn't really paying attention.
What's she about to find out,
Suddenly,
y'all?
I heard my name, and my ears perked
She's
up.
about to find out the curse.
Listen, you really need to tell her. Oralee is turning 18 this week. She has a right to know. I mean, when was the last time any female in this family made it past 18?
Two things for that. One, so everybody else happens to know about this family curse besides her, I can understand not telling a child. And like, I know as a teenager, you still are a kid, but you know what I mean? Like when she turned like 16, no one thought to mention, hey, there's like this weird trend in the family where women don't tend to live past 18. Don't want to worry yet, but let's take you to the doctor. Maybe be super cautious. Just a heads up. You know, I would just think you would want to have her in the know at some point and not like the week before her 18th birthday. You know what I mean? But why is it that everybody else knows but she doesn't? Did she never think about like how her grandma, her aunt, her mom, how like none of these women live past 18? Wait a minute. If no woman lives past 18, that means the women always had to have children at 18? Wow, that's really young. That'd be rough.
It's like a curse, Uncle James. Curse?
That's kind of a curse.
What are you talking about? What did I have a right to know? I ran downstairs as fast as I could, but my cousin was already in his car driving off. I screamed his name, but he just waved and then was gone. As I turned around, my dad was standing in the doorway. Dad, what's going on? Is this why you've been acting so weird? Am I about to die or something?
Oh my God, can you imagine saying that?
Don't be stupid. Your cousin has clearly been watching too many movies. It's just a coincidence that your mom, my sister, and your cousin all died at the same age, but
what about the grandma?
You mean your sister? I was too quick for him. And that's how I found out that my dad had a sister who drowned when she was 18. I had never even heard of her. This is a new curse? No wonder my dad was so emotional about me turning 18. He'd lost his wife and his sister at that age. It was crazy.
So maybe the women in this family aren't cursed. Maybe the father's cursed. Because it seems like the women around him are the ones that meet their early demise, not just like every woman in this family ever. Because like what about the grandma and like the grandma's grandma? Like, you know what I mean? The grandma's grandma, that'd be like the great whatever. But you know what I mean? Like it seems like a newer thing. So I could see being more hesitant saying anything to her because it's only happened twice before. Twice before could be like a crazy coincidence. And I understand being a little paranoid. Even if you're a rationally thinking person, I could understand that. But like clearly he thinks like something's actually wrong. So did he do something? Did he like make a wish with a genie and like that was one of the asterisks of him? Why did I say it so weird? Of him getting his wish granted. Maybe it was for every wish granted is a woman that you love taken away from you. And now his daughter's next. I just pulled that theory at my butt. But that's kind of a good theory.
It felt like something out of a movie. A family curse. And then my cousin, she died last year in a car crash, and she'd been 18 too.
Okay, that's too many.
I didn't sleep much. The more I thought about it, the more it made sense. I couldn't remember the last time a woman in our family had lived past the age of 18. How had I not thought of this before?
How have you not thought of that?
This whole time I'd been excited to turn 18 because I'd go off to college. But how would I even make it to college? What if I died tomorrow? My mom died giving birth, my aunt died drowning, and my cousin died in a car crash. Well, I could definitely avoid swimming,
tragic
and I didn't own a car,
family story.
And there was no chance I was about to have a baby.
Really smart of her to like try to avoid those scenarios.
I was turning 18 a day later. That meant I had 24 hours to do all the things I wanted to do. But what if I died doing them?
Yeah, that might kill you doing that.
I couldn't even risk it. I spent the last day of being 17 curled up in bed watching movies.
What would you do? Would you want to try to live the last day to your fullest, doing absolutely anything that popped into your mind? Maybe crossing off a little list that you could make that was feasible for you to complete? Or would you be too petrified to leave your room? Would you try to like Final Destination it, where you would like lock yourself up into like a padded room with absolutely like no electronics, nothing sharp, nothing that could actually harm you, and try to wait it out? But it didn't say they all died on their 18th birthday. It just said all these women died when they were 18. So that means she'd have a full year of worrying and like not wanting to leave her house. Would you want to try to make 18 like the best year of your life, or would you just live in constant fear? Because honestly, my favorite thing to do is to lay on the couch and watch Netflix. So that's what I would probably want to do. So I guess I could just combine the two. I would definitely be petrified for sure though.
I didn't even want to eat in case I choked and died. My dad kept asking me to at least join him downstairs.
I kind of get it.
But what if I fell down the stairs and then...
Inch your butt, right? Like a little kid?
Thing I knew I couldn't skip. It was our tradition after all. Dad was watching TV and I crept behind him and went out to the garden to pick some flowers. Mom always loved tulips and we had them in every color.
Oh, that's really
I came back inside and tapped Dad on the shoulder. He turned around and I thought he would cry from happiness. Come on, Dad. You didn't think I'd forgotten, did you? We drove to the cemetery, and it was pitch black. We left home late, to be honest, but
probably wouldn't have gone late.
We made our way across the path towards
and a creepy graveyard.
It was too dark, so I ran back to the car to get Dad's flashlight. Suddenly, the ground gave way beneath me, and if it hadn't been for a nearby gravestone, which I quickly grabbed onto, I'd have fallen about 3 meters into a freshly dug hole.
Why would that be a thing?
Fright. I just started screaming.
Appropriate response.
Running and saw me standing an inch from the hole. Luckily, Dad had already put the tulips by Mom's grave because I wasn't about to spend a second longer than I needed to in that place. On the way home,
yeah, why would you go to a grave at night? That's just weird.
We didn't speak a word to each other. As we
I feel like
pulled
only
up
horror
into
movies
the
do that.
driveway, I slammed the door and turned to Dad and said, "See, it is a curse. I could have died back there." I was shaking as I walked carefully to my room.
I mean, 3 meters,
I decided it was no longer safe out there. I couldn't die. I was too young. I locked myself in my room, and I made a promise to myself not to leave it again. I'd pretty much almost fallen
until you were
into
19?
an open grave. The curse was real.
Or
Dad
you just weren't paying
eventually
attention.
gave up trying to get me to go anywhere. Summer vacation had arrived, and I was adamant that I would not leave my room. There were dangers everywhere. I could get stung by a killer bee or slip in the shower.
That's
After
a real fear, y'all.
weeks of not going outside, I started to feel really weak. One day, my friends came over with a picnic and tried to get me to go outside.
Just literally
but I
luring her outside with
refused.
food.
They ate their picnic on my bedroom floor while I sat in bed and ate some leftover soup. After
Hey, you
they
can probably
went
still
home,
choke on that.
I felt relieved. Who knew what bug they might have brought into my room? But that night, I started
Taking
to
this
feel
really seriously.
really sick. I woke up and there was sweat pouring down my back. My skin felt clammy and hot, and suddenly
That was
I had
disturbing.
to run to the bathroom. The whole time I was running there, I kept thinking, what if I fall and hurt myself? It was only when I was throwing up into the toilet that the realization washed over me. Oh my gosh, I could die from being sick. It kept getting worse.
Yeah.
And my dad found me slumped across the bathroom.
Maybe she was working herself up so much that she was like dehydrated from not eating enough calories in a day, or maybe not consuming enough liquids, and then obviously maybe her cortisol levels were like through the roof, and then lack of vitamins from going outside, which would be a perfect storm for her to get sick. How could she not think about that? She was too busy thinking of like accidental ways to die, not thinking about like actually catching the flu, which her friends might have brought. Just saying. But yeah, you're more likely to like slip and fall in the shower, or fall out of bed in the middle of the night, or a really loud car goes by your window and maybe the window shatters and then glass gets into your eyes and then you slip and fall and conk your head. That was really graphic. We're just gonna move on from that.
Floor and rushed me to the hospital. I had to take a big bucket along as I couldn't stop throwing up.
Oh
The
gosh.
whole ride there, we were both freaking out. Dad kept apologizing, saying he was sorry, and maybe there really was a curse, which definitely didn't help.
Yeah, that would not help, Dad.
We reached the hospital, and Dad had to basically pick me up and drag me through the doors. That's how weak I was. Then, to make matters worse, the doctor who had saved my life when Mom died was the one who was on duty, which of course just brought a whole flood of emotions back from my dad.
That would definitely be trippy for the dad.
Crazier?
Very
I think
traumatic,
the nurses on duty weren't sure which of us was the sick one. Dad looked just as pale and upset as I did.
Y'all
After
need
some tests, the doctor
psychiatric
confirmed
help.
that I wasn't dying. I just had a severe case of food poisoning from the soup I'd eaten, and also a bit of malnutrition from staying indoors for so long and refusing to eat properly. You mean
how could you
I'm
not think about
going
that?
to die, Doc? What about the curse? At this, the doctor started laughing.
What? Why would you assume the doctor would know anything about your curse? Why would you just be like, oh, okay, the doctor doesn't believe I'm cursed, so I'm not cursed? It's like, what? I'm not saying she was cursed. It could just be crazy coincidences in that family. But I just don't think I would feel like, oh, okay, everything's good now because the doctor said I wasn't cursed, you know?
Get some rest. And your old man, too. You're both a bit delirious, I think. After a couple of days
You should be a little
of
more
rest in
concerned
the
about that.
hospital, I was ready to go home. I'd survived. Had I beaten the curse?
Are you now
On the
19?
drive home, out of nowhere, Dad just burst out laughing. Oralee, I think you actually cursed yourself. How ironic is that? You refused to go outside and you refused to eat the food your friends cooked, and still you got sick. It's all in our heads, I think. Let's...
Anyone else find that reaction a little weird? I mean, maybe if this was like her 19th birthday, I could understand feeling like this wave of relief of you being irrationally paranoid for the last year. Maybe your paranoia got worse and worse and worse until it finally broke. But she's still 18. I don't get it. It didn't say everyone died on their 18th birthday, did it? Not buying it.
Let's just put this all behind us. It's all just coincidence, okay? There's no such thing as curses.
You should have said this before, but...
I'd become so fixated on keeping myself out of danger that I'd actually brought it on myself. It's like I'd drawn this bad energy towards me. Well, this is at least what I tried to convince myself with, because honestly, a small part of me still believes that I have avoided a curse rather than it not ever existing. I mean, I did kind of almost die a couple of times. Coincidence? Maybe yes, maybe not. I'm 23 years old now, and sometimes I still fear for my life. Oh, and when it comes to kids of my own, maybe I shouldn't even have any. I mean, what if there was a chance it was real and my daughter would be stuck with a stupid curse, especially after seeing how hard it was for my father to deal with it? No, thank you. What do you think of my story?
That is a doozy. That would be hard to decide on if you should have kids, because if you still kind of believe that there possibly was a curse that you dodged and you Final Destination that-ish, that you could possibly pass it on. That's a lot. That is definitely the most unique reason not to have children I think I've ever heard of. What do you think? Do you think she was cursed, or do you think it was all in her head? All I know is I'm glad I don't think I'm cursed, because that seems incredibly stressful, and no thank you. I've seen the Final Destination movies. I don't want that life.